Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today it is rainy and you can see by my frizzy hair that the humidity is way up. Anyway, today we are going to do something a little bit unexpected because our apples are ready. And yesterday Jim and I went out and our tree, my favorite tree, had dropped quite a few apples. Most of them were bird pecked and some were wormy, but there were still plenty on the tree, and so we picked the first batch. And we can process a lot of apples by making apple juice, and it is so delicious. And apple juice is one of two foods that we can in 2-quart jars. Now, we're not going to use 2-quart jars because there's just the two of us, so we'll be canning in quarts. But those of you with larger families, if you also have apple trees and you want to process juice, just know that the USDA recommends the use of those 2-quart jars, so that's really a great thing. The other thing is grape juice. Apple juice or grape juice you can process in 2-quart jars, and that's the only those are the only two foods that they will allow us to use 2-quart jars in safely. So here is our juicer, and when I looked up the recipe for canning apple juice, they have changed it in the past couple of years. And it didn't say one thing about how to turn the apples into juice. It assumes that we know how to do that. And so we're going to use our steam juicer. Now, we've only used this a couple of times before, but I've been really impressed with it. And I want to show you the parts in case you've never seen a steam juicer before. So it has 4 parts. Here's the lid. The next layer is where the product goes. So I'll be filling this with apples, and here is the first batch of apples that Jim and I picked yesterday afternoon, and we used no spray at all, so these are totally organic. And I'm just going to be washing them. They would be a little bit dusty as all, and then I'm just going to bring them over here and cut them in quarters and put them in here, cores and all. It is so easy. I don't have to core them. I don't have to do anything except just cut them up, and we'll fill this bucket. Then this container is where the juice collects. Notice that it has this hole. Here's where the water goes to create the steam. The steam comes up through this hole right here and comes under here and cooks the apples. As it cooks the apples, the juice is released and it goes into this part. And then I'll every once in a while check with this hose, release the hose, and drain out the apple juice and collect it in a different container. So what's new about the recipe this year is before I would just collect the apple juice and then mix it, because apple juice is stronger, the first apple juice off, but later it gets more diluted with the steam that condenses on the apples and becomes less strong. And so I have learned to mix it all together so the taste is standardized throughout. But the new thing is that they are asking us to leave it in the refrigerator in a container overnight. And that is for all of the sediment to settle on the bottom. And then the next day, we pour off just the clear part, not collecting any of the sediment, bring it to a boil, and then we are going to water bath can it or steam can it, as I am going to do. And the process time for our elevation is 10 minutes, only 10 minutes. Now, any processing time under 10 minutes requires us to sterilize our canning jars. But since we are at 10 minutes, that will not be necessary. So I'm glad that we don't have to take the extra time to sterilize. And if you live in a place with the processing time that is less than 10 minutes, then you will want to read the USDA guidelines for how to sterilize your jars. So we're going to get started. I'm going to start filling this hopper with the apples, and we'll come back when this is full and ready to go, and we're going to be using my stovetop over here. So I'll see you in a little bit. I have the bottom 2 sections over there. The bottom now has water in it, and it is coming to a boil. And our bowl full of apples was the perfect amount to fill the hopper. So I'm going to put the lid on. Good, it fits. And I'm now going to go ahead and put this over on the top of the layers. And it will probably take quite a while for the steam to heat the apples enough to release the juice. But when we do have juice, I will bring you back and show you how I take that off. And then we're just going to set it aside in a larger container and wait for the entire batch to be juiced. Meanwhile, I'm going back outside and we have 3 apple trees that are loaded. So I'm going to be bringing in another batch of apples and I'll probably be doing juice most of the day. So we'll see you back here again soon. So this has been going about an hour, and as you can see, the apples are all, the lid is very steamy, the apples are softening and shrinking down, and our hose right here is full of apple juice. I don't know if you can see that. It's warm and there are bubbles right there. So we are going to empty what is in there right now. So here we go. Okay, we got it. So we have this much, which is about 1 quart. So we have 1 quart so far. Isn't it beautiful? I really don't see any sediment in there, but we're going to do as the instructions say and let it sit overnight. But I'm going to put it in this container, and we will keep doing this all day long. It doesn't involve a lot of my time. Just check in, do this, it takes 3 or 4 minutes, and then I can go back to doing other things. I have picked another load of apples. They're sitting over here waiting. So we will probably get, I imagine, 2 or 3 more quarts before the apples are spent, and then we will start all over again. So I'll keep you apprised as we go forward on this all day long project. Well, good morning. It is the next day, and we are now ready to can our apple juice. So here's the story. This jar and more than half of this jar came from my favorite apple tree. I did 2 batches of apples from that tree. The rest of the apples that were good enough to make juice are way too high, and Jim and I simply do not climb ladders anymore. So I invited my daughter. They're coming over this morning, bringing my great-grandchildren, 2 little children, age 5 and 3, and their dad is going to climb up high and get the rest of the apples, and they're going to take them home and do things with them there. So we're very happy about that. Our other apple tree, which was loaded, had smaller apples about this size, and it was very disappointing. I only got about this much juice from that whole entire batch. Those apples were quite dry, not very juicy. So I have made a decision, and whether or not you may want to do this is entirely up to you. But in the bottom of this pan where we're going to pour all of this, I have already put 1 can of frozen apple juice, 100% juice, so it's just apple juice. The apples from this tree over here, that juice was very bland. And so it has affected the taste of everything because we have to mix everything together. So it will not be 100% of our homegrown apple juice, but almost. So here's what we do next. I really don't see much sediment. Oh, these have sealed because they were put in the jars hot. I don't see a lot of sediment on the bottom, and I think that is because we used our steam juicer, but we're going to follow the USDA instructions. I'm going to pour the juice through that coffee filter. I don't know that it's catching anything. So I'm going to continue doing this until we have all the juice in here. Then we'll come back and I will let you know what our next step is. There were absolutely no sediments. The coffee filters came out completely clean. And so we have, according to the scale on the side here, about 7 liters, which is 7 quarts. And that is exactly 1 batch, so I'm very pleased with this. The next thing that has to happen is we put this on the stove, and As it barely reaches a boil, then we bring it back over here and fill our jars. And again, a reminder, because we're processing for 10 minutes, we don't have to sterilize these jars. Anything under 10 minutes does need to be sterilized. So we will be back when we're ready to fill the jars. So I just took this off. It was just barely starting to boil, so I'm filling these. They're supposed to be filled to within 1/4 of an inch from the top. Which these are not yet. I'm just getting them almost to the top, and then we'll go back and fill a little bit more. To 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to come out just almost exactly even. Maybe a cup left. So here's all that's left.
Okay.
Jars are very hot. So one of our viewers commented that someone had told her, she was asking about finger tight, and I always say just to, I've got to get, I always say just to use your fingers until it tightens down. She said someone told her that you put the lid on and turn it until the jar turns, and then you do it 1/4 of a turn more. And that seems to work as well if we want to be a little bit more precise about it. So I thought that I would pass that along to you because I think it's a good way to calculate it. So I'll do it one more time. So you turn the lid until the jar turns, and then you hang on to the jar and turn it 1/4 of a turn more. And that seems to work great. And I'm a creature of habit, and I've had good luck with the way I do it, so I'll probably just continue to do it my way. Okay, so they're all 7. I've had the canner warming, so in go the jars. The water is just barely below the rack. And we only need 10 minutes once the steam has filled the pot. Those of you that have this canner that works as a water bath canner or a steam canner, you know that the dial on the top, once it gets into the green, then you start your timing. But at our elevation, that little dial never gets into the green. And when I talked to a company rep, what she said was to just, and gave me a few little hints about how to take a marker and change the markings on the top. Well, forget that, because I can look at the physical signs and get the very same results. And so what I watch for is for steam to be issuing from under the lid at a pretty good clip, and then I start the timing. The whole thing is that the steam has to be completely filling the pan. And water bath canning is the very same as steam canning, and that is according to the USDA. And I far prefer steam canning because it uses so much less water. So we will watch for the signs, and then we will time it for 10 minutes, and we'll bring you back when we are ready to take out our beautiful freshly canned apple juice. All right, taking the last one out. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I'm so thrilled with these. Look how gorgeous they are. I tried to arrange them here so they looked nice. But the apple juice is clear, it's golden, it's delicious. There was just about 3/4 of a cup left, and Jim and I split it, had it over some ice. It was really, really good, very, very refreshing. So we now have some apple juice from our own trees in our food storage, and that is such a nice feeling, such a great, great feeling. Not too long ago we did some cranberry juice, so we can even mix the apple juice and cranberry juice together and enjoy that. So we appreciate so much your being with us. We appreciate your comments. We love hearing about your adventures, the things that you do, and please keep those comments coming. We really feel like we are a learning community where we have so much expertise among those of you who are subscribers to our channel and through your comments, and we appreciate that. Jim and I are both lifelong learners, and we learn from many sources, including from you. We feel like we're all in this together, and we're helping each other move forward with a better preparedness for these uncertain times in which we live. So thank you so much, and we will see you very soon for more videos.